Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 44 of the Tait Talks podcast. I am with recurring guest, Joe White.
Yay.
Yeah.
I want to start with I love that bit.
You really nailed that before too.
Yeah.
Quick recap. So this is part 2. You were born in Sudan.
Born in Sudan, raised in Perth from the age of 11. I'm 35 years old. We moved here as refugee. Myself, single mum, 6 kids. Dad's left the family when I was 5. I believe he's in Ethiopia now. Life's good now. Shit start, but amazing ending.
Yeah, this is now you're on the podcast, man. It's all gone to this point.
Started from the bottom, now I'm here.
But now you are a professional. Well, I mean, COVID's fucked you with touring for Australia and the world and stuff. But how did you get from obviously Sudan? We'll fast forward. Now you've come to Australia, so you're 11 years old. So what was it like actually first coming to Australia, getting off the plane and being like, so this is it?
Yeah, I'm like, there is a lot of white people here. Before we came, there was only one that stamped our visas to come. Now there is a galore of them.
Was that weird?
It should be easy to get visas stamped out here because there's so many of them that can stamp it. We didn't know there was different breeds of white people. There was ones that are qualified to stamp the visas, and there's ones that are just there because that's where they're from. So we just thought everyone could stamp our visas now. We're like, hey, you want to stamp our visa? Piss off, mate. I'm working. Oh, sorry. It's intense, man. It was intense. I remember the plane ride on the way. It took forever to get here. So
First plane
ride, yeah.
And a long one too.
Yeah, on a long one. So we were switching planes and everything because obviously you couldn't fly direct. And then when we were flying into Perth, I'll never forget. Because we flew in at night, and you look out the window and you see the lights.
Oh yeah.
And you just go, holy smokes! Look at all these lights. In some place like Sudan, wasn't quite lit up.
Yeah.
So the streets, when it's nighttime, it gets pretty dark. You sort of, that's when you call it a night and go home.
Yeah.
So there wasn't many street lights and stuff. So flying in, you just see the street light, the Perth well lit up, and you're like, this is incredible. And then the plane lands, and it's like, welcome to Perth, Australia, and you're just like, oh, we're here. You know? And we were expecting, for whatever reason, a lot of snow, but there was none. And we were expecting that people would greet us at the entry with like soccer balls because we loved soccer.
Yeah.
And we're just like, we can't wait to play soccer, But then it was just like more other Ethiopians there.
Yeah.
Church groups that greeted us, and I remember we're coming and getting off the plane and trying to make our way out to the exit, and you had to go down escalators and stuff.
Yeah.
And we've never been on an escalator before, so we didn't know what was going on. And to be honest, I share this on stage as a joke, but the truth was that, we thought like going down is going to hell. Well, I thought going down was going to hell, going up was going to heaven. So it was like, you're going up, you're going to a good place, and you're going down, you're going to a bad place. So we're like, oh, let's go up, let's go up. You gotta go down. And we're all holding onto this escalator, just shitting our pants. And then we finally go, and at the end, it's just people like greeting us and giving us hugs and telling us welcome and all that.
Where did you go from the airport?
To our own house.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
We like what?
Yeah, we didn't know where we were going. We get in a car. They took us to a house in Westminster, which is pretty much Mirrabooka.
Yep.
And we go in. They're like, okay, this is your rooms. We're like looking at the beds and the rooms. They're like, this is your house. We're like, what? This is your house. And me and my siblings, we looked at the dining table, and there was a bowl of apples.
Ooh.
We just stormed it, man. I got all this ball. We ran to our rooms and we're like, okay, one for you, one for me. We started dividing the apples, and because in Sudan, when we used to be homeless, there was this guy that used to sell apples on the street. We could never afford it, but we'd always see people lining up to get apples. We'd see people enjoying apples. We could never afford apples.
Yeah.
And then we come here, the first thing in our lounge room is a bowl of apple.
Yeah.
And that's where it's true. We made it, man. This is amazing.
It's crazy how that Is it something you didn't have as simple as an apple, and then you were just like, it's just free on the table when you get to Australia?
Yeah.
Like everything was just like, yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, we're like, this is it. We've made it.
Yeah.
10 years in, we're like, I think we're poor. This sucks.
Everyone gets apples here.
Oh, it's crazy.
Fuck. So you jump. So I assume you get enrolled into primary, or nearly you have to go straight into high school.
Yeah, so we did, I think year 6. Yeah, year 6 at Kundula Primary School.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to Perth Mod for like a year maybe. Because at the time, Perth Mod was an intensive language centre for new arrivals to Australia.
Okay.
So it was just a school packed with refugees from all over the world.
So what are you speaking at this time? Just Arabic?
Arabic, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just Arabic and trying to learn English quick.
Yeah.
Especially when you go out there, everyone's talking to you in English and you're like, oh shit. I remember my first love when I was 12 years old. I didn't know the feeling, but it was our neighbour. Her name was Fiona. Her dad was a German businessman. They were,
yeah.
So her mum was home with them, and her dad was always traveling. But they always had nice things. They had skateboards, bikes, rollerblades.
Yeah.
And she was like teaching me everything, But I couldn't really speak English properly, so I would communicate sign language, broken English. And she's like, "No, you just do this. You ride the bike like this," and it was so lovely.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm feeling a certain way toward this person," So. Yeah, and then one day, I got an erection. I didn't know what it was. I ran home. I was like, "Mom, what is this?" And she just started laughing. And she's like, "What happened? Well, who are you with?" And I explained to her. And she just went, "Okay, you are not to hang out with this person again."
Really?
Nah, she was just like, explained that to me, and then just told me to be okay, relax. Just, be mindful. And yeah, it was fun. She was my first love, I reckon, Fiona.
Fiona. Good old Fiona.
What a name, Fiona.
Have you ever...
she had a sister called Melanie as well.
Have you ever...
told her?
Figure out what she's doing or in contact with her at all?
Nah, not in contact with her.
Funny if she just saw the podcast one day and she was like, "Yeah, motherfucker loved me."
Yeah, 20 years ago.
And I gave him his first erection.
Yeah. She was amazing, man. She was cool. Her whole family was cool, except I think maybe her mum her mum was cool, I think, except her dad. Her dad was a bit weird.
Just German.
Just German, yeah. But they were pretty cool. It's crazy. About probably a year ago, I was having dinner in Northbridge.
Yep.
And I swear to God, I saw a chick that looked exactly like her, but an adult version. And I was like, I bet that is her. But I didn't have the courage to go up and ask.
You'd be like, "Fiona!" See as she turns around.
I should have.
Yeah.
Damn it. Imagine that, though.
So you've fallen in love now in Australia, your first Australian love. But so you had Perth Modern for a year, then obviously jumped into another school, I assume.
Yeah, from Perth Mod, I went to Girrawin High School.
Yeah.
So in Girrawin High School, I heard a lot of rough stuff about it, and so I wanted to make sure I didn't get bullied or anything like that. When I first came here, obviously, you're doing your best to transition into the Australian way of life, and a huge part of that is just getting along with people and trying to just navigate your way.
Yeah.
I used to play soccer with a youth group, and every time I'd get the ball, I'd go for it, I'd miss, and then they'd go, "Why don't you pass?" I'm like, "I didn't hear you call me." They're like, "Yeah, he's right, we didn't call him." They said, "You know what, what's your name? We can't really pronounce it, that's why we didn't call you. Can we give you a nickname?" And I was like, "What's a nickname?" They're like, "Well, it's a name that you give your mate if you can't pronounce his full name." I'm like, "Alright, what do you want to call me?" They're like, "Can we call you Michael?" I was like, "Nah, man, you can't call me Michael." I was like, no Michael. That's how good. No, me, no Michael. No Michael. And then they're like, "What about Joe? Can we call you Joe?" And then I was like, thinking about the singer Joe. You know the singer Joe? R&B and hip hop singer from the No, he used to sing with Fat Joe. R&B and hip hop singer from the 90s.
Yeah, okay.
It's amazing how you knock me off my feet.
That's you.
It's very romantic, suave.
You should have been singing that to Fiona.
Yeah, I should have. But he's just a ladies' man, and I was like, "Yeah, you can call me Joe," because that's what I associated it with.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Okay, Joe," And so I'm playing soccer and they'll be like, Joe. And I'll be like, yeah. I'll pass the ball to them. And then I was like, yeah, that's my nickname, Joe. So then I told my brothers and sisters, yeah, I got a nickname. My nickname is Joe. Then when I went to Guru in high school, this girl came up. She was like, what's your name? I was like, Joe. I didn't say Tilahan, you know?
Wait, so what is your real name?
Tilahan.
Tilahan.
Yeah. Or Tilahun.
Ah.
Pronounce it with a t. That's
I'm
the
not going to do
Ethiopian.
that.
That's the Ethiopian way of pronouncing
yeah.
it. Tilahun. But here, because you don't have t, you've got t, so you say Tilahan.
Yeah.
But when she said, what's your name? I said, Joe. And she went, okay, cool. And she was quite aggressive, so I thought, fuck, she'll bully me, you know?
Yeah.
So I said, if she can't pronounce my name, so I was like, Joe. And she left me. And then I was like, I'm going to have to keep up this lie now until I leave this school, you know? And again, this is part of my comedy.
Yeah.
So then every day I'd go up to the teacher before they did the roll call, because on documents it's always Tilahan.
Yep.
So I'd be like, excuse me, miss, I know this says Tilahan, but it's actually Joe. If you can call me Joe, that'd be great. And she's like, okay, cool. That's what you prefer? I'm like, yeah, that's what I prefer. And then she would say Joe. I'd go present. And I'd sit back down. Everyone would go, yeah, that's Joe. And I did this every class, man. And then one day the relief teacher said Tilahan, and everyone's like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's me. And they're like, what? No way. I was like, yeah, that is me, guys. I'm a refugee, remember? That's my refugee name. That's my legal name. That's my Ethiopian name. I'm not European. I'm Ethiopian, you know?
So your mum calls you Tilahan?
Mum calls me Tilahan, yeah. And then I was dating this girl, and she called my house, and she's like, can I speak to Joe? And Mum's like, who's Joe? She's like, I want to speak to Joe. And she's like, oh, there's no one here called Joe. And she hung up on her. And then my sister came up and she's like, some people keep calling wanting to speak to Joe. And my sister said, yeah, that's Tilahun. He changed his name to Joe. You know, the beating my mum gave me.
Oh, really?
You disrespectful boy. I was like, no, Mum. It's a nickname. They have him here. Yeah. But now she's cool with it.
Yeah.
And then White came about because when I was doing stand-up, I just wanted to be funny before I even said anything.
Yeah.
So when the MC was like, give it up for Joe White, and a black guy comes out, you know, people laughed already. And I was like, I know what you expected. This was just hack comedy when I first started. You know what I mean? And then Joe White just had a vibe to it. And then it just became this persona that I've called Joe White. Yeah. You know? So I was able to separate my Tilahan personality and Joe White personality. So Tilahan personality to me is, you know, one that with my family and my friends. Mm-hmm. Joe White is the stage persona. Joe White is the entertainment personality. Yeah, yeah. Right? And I'm able to switch just because I have those two, just because I have the explanation behind who Tilahan and who Joe White is. Mm-hmm. So it helps me sort of switch gears. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, oh, you can't stop Joe White because Joe White's like the entertainer right now. He's going to take charge, you know? You could stop Tilahan. Tilahan's lovely, he's polite, he's compassionate, you know, loves his mama and stuff. But so Joe White can be cheeky, he can roast you, he can take anything and try to make it funny. Yeah. He's a go-getter, you know, he takes risk and stuff. So I just try to associate that with Joe White, and it just, when you say, give it up for Joe White, that's the persona that comes out. Yeah. Yeah. So
you just get into that character. Mode, yeah. It's just bang.
Yeah. It helps in psyching you out.
Yeah. So what year did you get it? How old were you when you got into stand-up comedy?
I was 29 years old. 29. Yeah. So I've been doing it almost 7 years. I turned 36 in February. Yeah. Yeah. So almost 7 years. I was in banking. I was dating a young lady for 10 years. We were together. Yeah. And we lived...
Not Fiona?
Not Fiona, no. We lived together. We had a property that we were renting out while we lived in the city. We were engaged to be married, 10 years together. So everyone in the community, like this... She was an Ethiopian girl as well. They're like, oh yeah, these guys are definitely getting married.
I was gonna ask that actually.
Yeah. They're like, they're definitely getting married, everything. And then all of a sudden she's like, nah, this is not for me anymore. Oh. And that really devastated me. And the hardest part in dealing with it is the fact that we work together as well. So really? Every day I would see her, and this happened for a period of 2 years. And then 6 months in or a year in, my sister goes, dude, you have to come over, and she was crying, and I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, man, I went and saw this psychic in Morley because my friend told me to go see her, and she said all these things that freaked me out, and so I just wanted to talk to someone about it. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. We talked, we laughed. And then as a joke, my sister goes, wouldn't it be funny if you went and spoke to her?
Yeah,
Because you've had a lot of change in your life, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, all right. At the time, I was at the bottom, man. I was depressed. I was, just didn't know what I want to do with my life anymore. I was discovered self-help, and that was what was keeping my head above water. But other than that, I was drowning in, just my pain and my confusion, my loss, trying to work out what life is about now. I thought it was about, someone that I loved very much at the time. And
10 years is a long time.
Yeah, and so I just didn't know how to handle it. And so I was like, yeah, why not? I've got nothing to lose. I'm at the bottom anyways. If anything, if this is true, maybe she'll give me clarity,
Yeah.
But I'm like, we don't believe in that shit in where I come from.
Yeah.
And I've never been to one, and I always laugh at one anyways. So I went and saw her. She goes, you've done this before? I said, no. And then she goes, okay, cool. I'll be honest with you. Whatever happens, I'll tell you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm like, yeah, that's great.
She's like, you're going to die.
You're going to meet Fiona. Yes, yes, that's exactly what I want. No, she goes to me. She asked me what I did for a living. I said I was a banker. And she's like, it's not your thing. You just like being in power, You like authority. I'm like, yeah, I like looking good and, being in position of power. Yeah, I like suits. And she goes, are you a rapper? I said, no. Are you stereotyping? And she started laughing. She's like, no, I'm not. She goes, what? Do you do anything with stage? I said, no. She goes, well, I see you performing and I see you on stage to a big crowd. So I don't know what it is, but it's to do with stage.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no, I don't know anything. She goes, well, you have to find out what it is. That's your job. But it's to do with the stage. You're performing because you're elevated. Everyone's listening to you. And I was like, can you describe it more? She goes, well, the energy is like you walk in and you're high-fiving. It's a good energy. Everyone's just like high-fiving. Yeah.
You're Alan.
Yeah. And I was like, I said, okay. And then she said other stuff as well. And then as it came to an end, I was like, oh, a month ago, I wrote a page of stand-up comedy about my family. And I was like, maybe I should try comedy because someone said that I should try it.
Yeah.
And then her eyes just lit up and she's like, that is it. You have to try stand-up comedy. You're going to be good at it, I promise you, but you have to find a way to give it a go. And I was like, oh, yeah, all right. At the time, I was sort of like climbing in the banking world,
Yeah. So it was
like, yeah, because at the time in the banking world, I had promotion, so I became a business home lending manager. I just had a catch up with the CEO that I requested. No one in my position did before. And I managed to get this catch up. And we got talking about how to be successful in the banking industry. So everything was like looking good in the banking world. He's like, yeah, you should speak to this department at the bank about potentially paying some parts of the course so you can do a finance degree because you need a degree when you get to a certain stage. I was like, yeah, let's do that. And we were doing that. And so I'm like, this is great. And then she goes to me, no, you have to try stand-up. It's your thing. It's not banking, blah, blah, blah. And I went, oh, okay, no worries. Then when I left, she messaged me. She's like, you have to find a way, please. Find a way.
Really?
Yeah. And then I was like, all right. I went online and I had a look. And there was 6 weeks in Sydney, Australian Stand-Up School of Comedy. Because I couldn't find it in Perth, even though there's a community.
Yeah.
Or 5 nights in Melbourne. I'm like, all right, I'll go to Melbourne. And I went to Melbourne, did a comedy course. And then they gave me all the information to where I can do it here. And then I came and did my first spot at Lazy Susan's, which was Shapiro on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And had an amazing 5-minute set. Applause breaks. I've never had anything like that before. I've never experienced anything like that before. There was like 10 people in a room of 60 people that came to watch me. That were my family and my friends.
Yeah.
And the applause break and stuff that I received afterwards, my family were like, mate, that was amazing. My mates were like, dude, this was incredible. I was driving home knowing that what just happened to me in my personal life and where I was mentally and how exhausted I was. To have discovered comedy that way on that night within that 5 minutes and everything that led up, not just in the year, but in, 29 years of going through what I went through in Africa, the relationship, the many shitty jobs, to doing that 5 minute and getting the response that I did on the way home, man. I had to pull over because it was just breaking down. I was just crying and I discovered this thing now. I'm like, this is it. I just knew straight away when I left and I was by myself, I was like, oh my God, this was amazing. I can't
Yeah.
wait to do it again and again and again and
And then you're a
again.
heroin addict.
Yeah,
Yeah.
heroin addict.
Yeah.
And then I went hard. First 6 months, I did 45 minutes on stage, announced the show.
Yeah.
Then I rinsed, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Next thing you know, I had an hour. Next thing you know, I was doing the Fringe Festival within the first year.
Yeah.
And then I went in. Within the first 2 years, I'd already done interstate shows all around Australia. When I say all around Australia, I just mean Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, it's nearly all of them.
Didn't do Hobart or any of those places. But did all that, and then I was like, okay, good. If I want to take it next level, I have to take it next level. So I handed in my resignation at the bank because now I was ready to go full
So
time.
this is a couple of years in?
This is 2 years in.
Yeah.
So I handed my resignation into the bank, used whatever savings I had, and I booked a one-way ticket to Canada and went did solo shows around Canada and spots and headline spots.
Where did you start in Canada?
I went to Vancouver, did a spot there.
Yeah.
My first solo show was in Montreal.
Okay.
So I went to Montreal. I attended the Just for Laughs Comedy Pro conference. I had a pass for it.
Yeah.
So I got to learn a lot, mingle a lot, and then did my own solo show at Theatre St. Catherine, which got picked up by the New York Post, and they did a story about it, which was great.
Yeah.
And then I went to Toronto, did a show there. 6 months in Canada, and then I came back to Australia and went on a national tour with an American comedian. And then I based myself out of Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's a very quick...
Quick progression.
yeah. And you did Australia's Got Talent?
Yeah, so I just found different ways to grow my brand.
Yeah.
You know, different ways to get on platforms so people can find me, so my audience can find me. You know? Because if you have your own audience, you can do anything. And Australia's Got Talent for me was one of those opportunities to get on a big platform where people can actually hear your story, hear your comedy, see if they like you, and come to your show. So 2019, I did Australia's Got Talent. I was in Adelaide, doing shows in Adelaide when I got the call to come and audition for it in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
So I flew the next day to Melbourne. From the airport, taxi straight to the audition at the convention centre in Melbourne.
Yeah.
To like 3 people. Yeah, so it was like an open mic gig.
Yeah.
I did 3 minutes. They laughed and they went, yeah, all right. And then I got through to semi-finals live.
Yeah.
So not televised yet, just live. So you got the audience. It's at a theatre. You got Nicole Scherzinger from the Pussycat Dolls.
Yeah.
Manu and Shane Jacobson.
Yep.
And you're on this big Australia's Got Talent stage. You perform. And then I got yeses from all of them.
Cool.
But they don't let everyone that got a yes go through.
Oh, because it just could be so many.
Yeah, so they chose, and I didn't make the ones that were on TV.
Okay.
But I was part of the montage on TV. So they
Mhm.
showed me on TV doing a joke and Nicole Scherzinger reacting to it.
Ah.
ETC, yeah.
Yeah.
It was lovely, you know.
Would have been a strange experience, wouldn't it?
It was. There was like 1,000 kids in the crowd, and I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I expected adults, but it's
So
like
you were just obviously you have to do clean because it's for TV.
you have to, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do clean because it's for TV. But I was backstage and they're like, give it up for Joe White. And I hear 1,000 screams. And they all sounded like kids. And I was like, oh no, I got to take this joke out and put in this Dora the Explorer joke that I have.
Yeah.
Which the trick worked, you know. But it just shows how quick you have to think on your feet.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Australia's Got Talent, but you went from, like, obviously doing stand-up from, what was it? In the first year, you done 45 minutes. At Fringe, like it was in Perth. Was it Fringe show in the Perth?
So first 6 months, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, I did another show, another solo show, which I added, 5 more minutes. Then another solo show, couple months later. So
these all in Perth?
These are all in Perth, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Fringe came about in Perth the following year in Feb. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll be part of it. So then I did that, and you have to have an hour. So by then I had an hour already.
Yeah.
So really, the first year I was doing my first hour. Now, I'm not saying it was the best hour, but people could watch me on stage and they could laugh and watch me say something for a whole hour on stage.
Yeah.
Eventually, you get better, and you look back and you just go, oh, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
And that's the feeling that I have now. I look back at my first 45-minute show that I filmed, and I go, oh, no wonder why people... No.
Yeah.
It's good fun, though.
So where's the progression from? When did you know to go from like? There goes my notepad. When did you know to go from like? I've got the goods to go from the banking job that was paying the bills. You were progressing and stuff like that to be like, you know what, I can actually make money from stand up and have a living. Like when did the flip switch type thing?
I think it's just self-belief, you know. So for me, I was one of those comics where I did my first open mic. I went, yeah, I'm ready to take on the world and sell out arenas and be the professional comedian that I am and be doing this full time, you know. I'm ready.
Yeah,
I was ready straight away after my first 5 minutes. That's because I had that self-belief, you know. And that self-belief didn't just come from me believing just because I had a good 5 minute set, but because I never wanted to do this thing. Like I did at one stage, I thought it could be.
Yeah.
I could be a comedian. Wrote a page, left it. But then when I supposedly went and saw this person who could see past, present, and future,
yes,
right? And she said, "Oh, you're going to be great at it. This is your thing. You have to do it." And I was like, "Oh, let's see if she's talking shit or not." And then when I did it and it worked, and I went, "Yep, instant belief."
Did you ever send her a message?
Yeah,
Be
yeah.
like, hey, I did stand up.
Dude, we're still friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we connected on Facebook.
Does she ever, when you send her a message, does she ever say like, hey, I was expecting this? If I went to a psychic and they didn't say, I've been expecting you, as soon as I walk into the door,
Yeah.
I would leave. They have to say that.
No, she does say that. I was expecting you, and I go, "Did you use your powers?" And she's like, "No, you booked an appointment." I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah, fair enough. You got to book an appointment."
Your
to see
bank
her.
transfer went through.
Yeah, you have to book an appointment to see her. So I instantly believed her, and instantly after my 5 minutes, I was like, "Yep, I'm ready to take on the world and live out my reading." You know.
Yeah.
So it's like the best motivational speech I could have ever paid for.
Yeah,
but I tell you
crazy.
this, everything she has said has come true. And
I'm
there's
too
more
scared to know anything.
and there's more to come. I like to know.
I don't. Because if she tells me something I don't want to hear,
Too
I'm
bad.
like, well, it's written in the fucking stars now. I'm out. You know, I can't change it.
I think the rule is you hear what she tells you, and then it's up to you if you want to go down that path and live out that reading,
Yeah.
or you want to detour. Because sometimes you will hear bad stuff, and then you go, "Oh, I don't want that. So how do I detour away from that?"
Okay.
Or you can just go, "I don't believe you," and do it and find out for yourself.
Did your sister's stuff come true?
She didn't tell me everything, but
Yeah.
some of the stuff she did say, like for example, my sister had two friends at the age of 27 and 29, I believe they were. They just finished graduating, got their degrees here, decided to go back to Ethiopia for holiday.
Yeah.
And then while visiting their relatives in the countryside, the bus with about 50 tourists on board plunged 180 meters or something and burst into flame, and everyone died. So
They were on the bus?
They were on the bus as well. So we were all very
Jeez.
depressed here, and my sister always wanted them to meet her son, her unborn son.
Okay.
But my sister had the child, and it was in the back of her head, like, where is, I wish they could have met him.
Mm.
And then the psychic lady goes, "Oh, at night, does he laugh a lot by himself, giggle and play around?" And she's like, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, that's them with him, they're playing with him, they've met him, they're very happy for you, is lovely." And the fact that she was able to describe them, the fact that she was able to describe relationships that I had with a mate that took his own life that no one else knows except me and him,
Yeah.
in terms of like the banter that we used to have.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, how the hell do you know that this is what I used to say to him and this is what he used to say to me? And to me, that's like little things like that make you go, there has to be something in play here.
Yeah. She witch?
Well, back in the days, we would have
Yeah.
burnt her by now.
Imagine that. Just be
I
like,
told my
oh.
mom, and my mom was like, "No, my son, you must not go to those people.
Yeah.
Why is they not good?" I'm like, "Mom, she was pretty good to me."
So, Mum, she's charging $40. She's not bad. Yeah. Is she just a Australian chick, or is she...
I think she's gypsy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Macedonian, I think she is. Is that
Yeah.
gypsy? I don't know.
Yeah, Romanian.
Very lovely. Oh my
Yeah.
god, just a good.
Maybe I
human.
should go and see her.
Oh mate, you should. She'll
Just
just
do a
give you-
podcast with her.
Yeah.
Tell me my future.
She might do a podcast with you. She enjoys doing public readings, stage readings. She's been on TV and stuff.
Oh, really?
She's really good, yeah. A lot of the people I've sent to her, my friends who needed clarity where they're at, needed a way out, needed to understand something. A lot of them have gone to her and their life has changed drastically for the better.
how does it work? Like, you sit down and she goes, "I'm feeling this," or she says, "Tell me about yourself."
No. Tell me about yourself, and then just regurgitate everything you said, but in a positive way.
Stand up. I see you on a stage.
Have you thought about doing stand up? Yeah, that's what I said when I first came in.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Oh, okay. I believe you. No, I think you sit down and then she just talks to you. She just starts saying things to you.
She reads your palms or anything?
No. She just talks to you, has pen and paper, takes notes. And then she'll ask you, does this make sense to you? And then you tell her yes or no.
Yeah.
But you'll be surprised. Go there, don't say anything to her, and just listen to her. And she's very cheap as well. I think it's like $60 for 15 minutes or something. And then half an hour is $120. Yeah, she's incredible. She's never been wrong every time I've gone to see her.
You still see her?
I've seen her 3 times, so all up in 7 years. Sometimes when I'm lost and I need a bit of clarity, I don't mind going and listening to her.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man.
I gotta spend $60. Let's see what happens.
She's never been wrong.
Yeah.
She's incredible. And I think at a time where I was desperate, that was someone who gave me clarity. Someone who pushed me into doing something that I would have never done. And I think she said something to me. If you don't try stand-up, you're going to be a 50-year-old man and regret the way he lived his whole life. And at the time when I was into self-help, I was like, this is one thing they tell you not to do is have regrets,
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to do stand-up.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have a heart attack, the first time I did it, but I did it.
How's the nerves now?
Oh, the nerves now are beautiful. Now is when my heart rate goes up before stage. I'm always like, whoo, I'm excited and ready. Yeah, let's do this, Because you got the jokes in the back of your head already.
Yeah.
And they're all trialed and tested. So now you're just guaranteed external validation when you get up.
I mean, you are. You are a professional comedian. It's very funny. That's it. Well, the psychic stuff I never saw coming. Yeah,
that's how I tried my first bit on stage. That's how I became a comedian. Because this psychic that I went to was like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, you talked about that on stage?
I haven't talked about it on stage. No. I don't really talk about it a lot, but I'm starting to now. But in the past, because I'm like, is she crazy? Is she wrong? Let me just try this.
Yeah.
Let me just try this. Okay, let me try it again. All right, well, maybe this is a fluke. I'll try it one more. Yeah. Let me try this big room.
You're on Netflix. You're just like, hang on a minute.
Imposter syndrome, yeah. And then next thing you know, I'm like, oh my God, this lady is right. Annette Christopoulos. Oh, I butchered her last name.
That's her name.
That's her name. She's incredible.
And she's in Perth?
She used to be in Perth. I think she's in Bunbury now, but she drives to Perth here and there.
Yeah.
And she does readings and stuff. I still send people to her to this day. And they all come back with amazing stories. I'm like, don't tell her you know me, because then she'll be like, send this message to Joe. This reading has come through for him. And I'm like,
oh, really?
No, I don't want to know anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
So I tell people, don't tell her they know me, because it messes with their reading, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're lost and you want clarity, man, I'm walking proof that this person's not talking shit, that she actually, I don't know what it is, but she knows something. So if the CIA is listening, they should get on to her, man.
Yeah.
Or the government.
She can tell us, like, when will COVID end?
Yeah, she'll be like, never.
Yeah.
It ends when you say it will end.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Now?
Can I have my money back?
Yeah.
This is what every anti-vaxxer
tell me how much
says.
this will cost? Yeah. That's, psychic stuff. I did not see it going from the slums of fucking Sudan to psychic readings.
Yeah. I feel like I've lived several lives.
It sounds like it.
Of living in a domestic abusive household with dad.
Yep.
To living on the streets in Sudan, to come in here, doing all these different jobs to try and be an entrepreneur. I think I did like so many jobs. I was a paper boy. I was a door-to-door salesman. I was a telemarketer. I was a door-to-door salesman for like 4 years. Yeah. Telemarketer for like 6 months. I was a taxi driver for 2 years. I was a bouncer for 1 year. I was a courier driver, a company driver for 8 years, and then I had my own van, and then bought another van that I was renting out to someone else. So I was subcontracting vans out. So I was on my own person. I had my ABN number for like 8 years. And then I had an investment property that I was renting out to people from Gumtree
Yeah.
for like a few years, maybe 2 years. And then I went into banking for like 3 years. And then now I'm in comedy.
Yeah.
And then I had the 10-year relationship that ended. Now I'm a single man doing comedy. So it feels like I've lived a lot, which is
So what's next?
which is what life is about.
Do you have any short-term goals that, if let's say that tomorrow COVID goes away and you're able to travel again, what goals or anything that you've set in place for?
Even if COVID doesn't go away, I think we have to find a way to live with it. So still travel, because you need to travel.
Yeah.
Just put the protective measures in place and follow the regulations, the health regulations, and still do your best to live your life. But to live in one place and not go anywhere because you're scared of COVID, unless you've got terminal illness and stuff, which is understandable. If you've got the funds and you can make it work, you just worry that you'll catch it and you're a healthy person, you'll be right.
Yeah.
So for me, the next is we've got Perth Fringe coming up, obviously, in January 2020. I've got 132 spots booked in. This is a mixture of gigs and shows, so I'm going to be very busy. I think I'm doing 7 to 8 on Fridays.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be hectic.
Yeah.
So as soon as Perth Fringe finishes on Feb 14 or Feb 13, Feb 16, I fly out to Adelaide Fringe.
Oh.
So I'm doing Adelaide
You're just
Fringe.
to come in hot, just like tried and tested, because you'll obviously pick things up along the way of doing those 132 spots and shows, and you just walk straight into Adelaide, just buck 'em, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, it should be hot and ready.
Yeah.
So I'm doing Adelaide Fringe every day from Feb 18 to, I think, March 20th.
Yeah.
And then I'm off to the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and that's from March 27th until April 14th, I believe.
Hopefully we can do another podcast.
Yeah, man. Why not? I'll tell you how Perth went.
Yeah, I'll tell you. You'll have Perth, you'll have Adelaide, and then you'll be
in Melbourne,
coming even hotter into Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
very interesting.
I'll be like, you'll be like, Joe, you look like you've lost 40 kilos. I'm like, remember those 132 spots? Yeah, they destroyed me. I wish I was a refugee again, Tait. So I'm doing Melbourne International Comedy Festival as well.
Yeah. So you got 3 solid months of stand-up.
Yeah, and then after that, I'm planning a 3 months comedy appearances around America. So I'm going to go from 1st of May to end of July.
Yeah.
And then I want to do Edinburgh.
Where you start?
LA for sure.
Yeah.
And I got connection at the Laugh Factory, so I want to try to get up there.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite nice. Just watched, obviously.
Yeah.
Dane Cook. I saw Dane Cook there.
Oh,
of all people. And seen anything for him for years.
Oh,
and he still murders.
Yeah.
He just crushes.
You were there in person?
Yeah.
Were you there on holiday or?
Yeah, I was living in Vancouver, and me and my buddy Tim went down for 8 nights or 10 nights in LA, and we just went to the Comedy Lounge,
Comedy Store,
Laugh Factory, and another one.
And Dane Cook just popped up in front of you.
Yeah, he was on that night. He was the headliner.
Wow.
And he did 20 minutes and he crushes. He could do a Netflix special tomorrow. Like, he's still that good, but everyone just wrote him off after I don't know why, he just became that weird martyr figure for comedians to be like, yeah, fucking Dane Cook. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kills. He's so funny.
Wow.
Sorry, so LA.
That's incredible. So yeah, I'm doing 3 months in America, and then 1st of August to end of August, I want to do Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah.
So we've already applied for a venue and everything. We're just getting ready. And then after Edinburgh, I should be back in Perth from end of September. Get ready again for Fringe World 2023.
Jeez, and just rinse and repeat and just get...
Rinse and repeat.
More.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Get better. Get signed to management in America.
Yeah.
Go on there for actual proper solo show tour around America.
Yeah.
Try to score that Netflix special, man,
That's, well, I mean, you're heading obviously in the
I want to sell out arenas. It's not going to be done from Perth. You have to go.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've put it out there. The law of attraction works. I'm manifesting it. I've never been scared to speak my dreams into existence, you know.
Yeah.
From an early stage, I was like, yeah, I want to sell out the Perth Arena. I'd drive and have a look at it almost every night, man. Just visualize my name on the door sold out, you know.
Yeah.
And people will think you're stupid or you're over... you know, this guy's his dreams are ridiculous. You know, people will think that because it's too big of a dream. Like fucking dream more realistic, sell out comedy lounge. You know, not the arena. But I'm like, nah, man, I want to dream big and you know aim for it and see where I land. And so, you know, going to America and all that, that's all part of achieving that dream, right?
Yeah.
Jim Jeffries did it. You know, so if he can do it, why can't we?
Just gotta keep gigging, I guess. Getting better.
Gig, write, believe, work,
suck some dicks,
grow,
whatever's gonna help you. You've got to go pick up your mum very shortly.
Yeah.
Where can people go to your social media, watch your live, do some plugs, man?
Yeah, I post a lot of things on Joe White official, Joe White _official on Instagram, Joe White Comedy on YouTube, Joe White Comedy on Facebook. But the best way to find me is you just go to Google and you put in joewhitecomedian.com and then there's hyperlinks to all my social media and stuff on there. Yep. You just click that and it will take you. And I post a lot about my mom and my family and a lot of my jokes on the Instagram Reels anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be doing a bit more of that as well. TikTok, I've had a few videos go big on TikTok. So one of them's on almost 80k views now, which is great. And it's mainly about mum.
Well, it's working. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and letting me into your home. Thank your mother for me.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to eat all her food and then I'll show Mum. Tait came over and he just, you know.
Send her a picture of me and
white guy.
I get it.
He ate everything, you know, this white man. I'm so sorry, Mum. And she'll just be like, oh, well, they let us into Australia, so let them eat everything. I'm like, it wasn't him, Mum, it was someone else. Tait's on the door. There's no way that he approved our visa.
Maybe it's related.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 44. Thank you so much for coming on, Joe.
This was awesome, man. Thanks for coming into my mum's house and having a good chat, man. Really genuine. I loved it.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Ladies and gents, we'll be back with more podcast stuff in the future. Thank you so much.